That was Sonambient. This is a Harry Bertoia podcast.
I'm Celia Bertoia, and we are going to do a podcast on the Bertoya Monotypes. The monotypes might be considered the hidden gems of Bertoia because he is not known for his graphic works. He's known for the Bertoia chairs for Knoll and for the sounding sculptures, the tonals, and for his other sculptures. But these were works on paper, and we believe that he made more than 3,000 of them, of which over 2,500 are documented, but in the early years he would give them away freely. So those are just beginning to rise to the surface again. These graphics are called several different things. Some people refer to them as monoprints, which is a bit deceiving because they're not prints. Each one is unique. Others call them monographics, which is probably technically the most accurate term. And more commonly, they are called monotypes, which sort of explains what they are. Harry himself referred to them as simply graphics. He made these monotypes for his entire career, beginning at the Cranbrook Academy of Art in 1940 and continuously until 1978. The year of his passing. And you can actually see his development as an artist, and you can see the different phases that he went through. We are lucky enough to still have about 1,000 of these in the Bertoia family. And when you lay them all out, it's just remarkable. You see the dandelions, the bushes, the tonals, the monumental pieces, it's all there, and they're all really wonderful. Some are more art by themselves in their own right, and others are more of a planning tool for sculptures or the architectural monumental sculptures. Most were abstract, although there were a few figural shapes of humans or even faces. Some were colorful, lots of different colors. Most, the norm was really monochromatic, just black and white or shades thereof. Some were simply linear with just lines and dots and perhaps a few little shapes. And he also even made collages where he would cut out a shape from another piece of paper and attach it to the existing paper. Those seem to be favorites when they go on the market at auctions. And he also made direct sketches, usually for inventory purposes. So if someone purchased a sculpture, he would do a quick sketch, sign his name, Harry Bertoia, perhaps jot down the dimensions and the type of metal, and that was his letter of authenticity, if you will. Or if it was a gallery, there might be 12 or 14 sketches on one piece of paper, all the different sculptures that he sent to a gallery. So these were great too, but that's a different category. The way that Harry made these monotypes, he started with trial and error, like most artists do, just sort of experimenting. But one of his favorite techniques was to take the ink and spread it out on the surface, whether that be glass or metal or masonite. Then he would take the paper, and he liked to use rice paper because of the texture and the way it's opaque. You can almost see through it. And from the back side of the paper, either with his hands or simple tools, he would make a design from the back side. We had a standard size poodle for a while, and he borrowed the dog brush and used that to make wavy lines. So doing the design from the backside like that prevented him from seeing what he was doing. So he really had to go more by instinct. And he liked that. And sometimes, okay, then he would remove the paper and he might add something to the front side. Maybe some pencil lines, or he might take a wooden block, a square or triangle, dip that in ink and press that on top of the paper. And later on, he found that he really enjoyed using magic marker. Now, the actual magic marker did not come out until 1953, and I think it was more around the 1960s when Harry began to use them. Sometimes after he had removed the paper, then he might take another paper and put that back on the ink, which at this point was partially used up, and make a cognate, or I like to call them a shadow print, where on the first one the lines were dark, where he had made a mark and picked up the ink. On the second piece, that line would be white because the ink was already gone. And at one point in California, he decided he wanted to create a whole series of these, and then much later, in fact very close to the end of his life, he put those drawings into a book, a limited edition book, which he called simply 50 Drawings. And I'd like to end this session with a direct quote from Harry about that process. 35 years ago, in a small beach house by the Pacific Ocean on the coast of California, this book began to take its form. It was my intent to explore a technical means that would permit me to work with great rapidity. I had done a considerable amount of experimentation with materials that were on hand and processes that would evolve in the course of action. All this points to a technical development needed to permit the fluidity of thought to evolve from page to page without disruption or discontinuity. Speed of execution being essential, it became possible by drawing on the back side of the paper using fingers, thumb, palm, and various tools made of wood or metal. The ink was rolled on glass. Pressure picked up the ink in a granular way, which I liked. Drawing on the back side of the page did not permit clear visibility, a great advantage, for it necessitated inner vision to take over the function of the eye. Surprises were always in store when the paper was turned over. Traces of the image would register on the next page, which initiated a play of dark and light, line and tone. Technique and image were developing along parallel lines, interacting and transmogrifying no end. The whole sequence of 50 pages came into being in about 24 hours of uninterrupted work. Thank you, and you can visit harrybertoia.org.